I let a man who was sleeping outside stay on my couch for one night because my son couldn't stand watching him shake in the cold. I left for work the next morning assuming he'd be gone by the time I came back. When I finally made it home, exhausted, the apartment looked completely different. The counters were shining, the trash had been taken out, the crooked door finally closed properly, and something warm simmered on the stove. It wasn't magic. It was proof that he had once been capable, long before life unraveled for him. I brought him home on a Tuesday after. Oliver asked me why no one ever helped people like that. It was late fall, the kind of cold that bites at your lungs. I had just finished a closing shift at the diner when I saw him again near the bus stop, the same man I'd noticed earlier that week. Mid-40s maybe, thin, patchy beard, one leg supported by a lightweight metal brace. He sat hunched over a piece of cardboard, wrapped in a worn blanket, hands trembling in the wind. Oliver tugged at my sleeve. "Mom, that's the man who walks funny." The man looked up quickly, surprised, as if direct conversation was rare. I should have kept walking. Rent was due soon. Laundry was piling up. My landlord treated kindness like a liability. But Oliver kept staring. "Do you have somewhere warm tonight?" I asked. He hesitated. "No, ma'am." His voice was careful, the voice of someone used to being overlooked or worse. "What's your name?" "Adrian." I looked at the brace, the stiffness in his posture, the way he held onto that scrap of cardboard like it grounded him. I thought about Oliver's asthma, about hospital bills we were still paying off, and even then, something in me shifted. "You can sleep on my couch," I said, "just for tonight. Shower, food. Then tomorrow you figure out your next step." His eyes widened. "I don't want to cause problems." "You won't," Oliver said brightly. "We have rules." Adrian looked at my son like that kind of open generosity felt foreign. Our apartment was small, tight even for the two of us. I laid an old blanket on the couch, handed him a towel, and watched him move slowly, pride wrestling with discomfort in every step. His shower lasted so long I started to worry. I knocked gently. "Sorry," he called. "I forgot what hot water feels like." Later, he sat at our tiny table eating canned soup as if it were something special. Oliver talked non-stop, school stories, a stray cat he wanted to adopt, a spelling quiz. Adrian listened like every word mattered. That night, I locked my bedroom door. Habit mixed with guilt. Trust doesn't come easily when you've struggled this long. My phone buzzed. My manager asking if I could take another shift. I said yes. I always said yes. Before sunrise, I left for work. Adrian was still asleep, his brace resting on the floor beside the couch. Oliver's bus honked outside, and we hurried down the steps. When I dragged myself home that evening, tired down to my bones, I was prepared to explain to Oliver that Adrian had moved on. But the moment I opened the door, I stopped cold, because my apartment didn't look like my apartment anymore. The constant hum of the refrigerator, a grinding noise that usually kept us awake at night, was silent, purring softly instead. The kitchen counter, usually cluttered with bills and chipped mugs, was scrubbed raw and clean. The leaky bathroom faucet, that had dripped incessantly for 6 months, was completely dry, tight and silent. In the center of the small kitchen stood Adrian. He wore the same worn jacket, but he was standing taller, wiping down the stove with an old rag. "I'm sorry," Adrian said immediately, stepping back and holding up his hands. "I didn't mean to pry or step out of line. I was going to leave after I washed my coffee mug, but the front door latch was sticking. I had a few basic tools in my pack. I couldn't just walk away leaving things broken when you gave me a roof." I stepped further into the room, dropping my purse onto a chair. "You fixed the door and the sink," he added quietly, pointing with a callous finger. "Just needed a new O-ring. I had a spare in my bag. The soup on the stove is vegetable and rice. Used what was left in your pantry before it went bad. It's hot if you're hungry." My chest tightened, a strange mix of relief and profound ache washing over me. "Adrian, what did you do before?" He looked down at his metal leg brace, his hands resting on his hips with an unconscious posture of authority that had long been buried under layers of survival. "I was a maintenance supervisor for a commercial construction firm," he said softly. 15 years. Had a crew of 8 men under me. Then a steel beam shifted on a job site in Philadelphia. Crush injury to the knee and nerve damage down the calf." He took a slow breath, the memories heavy in the room. The medical bills piled up while the insurance company fought the claim. 6 months turned into 2 years of bed rest. Lost the job, lost the apartment, lost my marriage under the strain of it all. When the pain medication stopped working, the savings were already gone. By the time I could walk again, I had nowhere left to go. It was the story of millions of people, boiled down to a single afternoon in a small kitchen. One bad turn, one bad fall, and the Sadie net simply wasn't there. Oliver burst through the front door a second later, his backpack slung over one shoulder, freezing in place as he smelled the soup. "Whoa, is that real food?" "Adrian cooked," I said, my voice thick, and he fixed the squeaky floorboard by my bed. Oliver cheered, running over to give Adrian a careful high five. That evening, we sat together again, but the barrier of pity was gone, replaced by mutual respect. Adrian didn't ask for money, nor did he ask to stay another night. As he finished his bowl of soup, he began gathering his blanket and small canvas backpack, ready to honor his promise. "Wait," I said, putting a hand on his arm. "My landlord owns 3 other buildings down this block. Every single one of them has leaking pipes, broken locks, and tenants complaining. He's cheap, but he pays cash when he gets desperate enough." Adrian paused, looking at me. "I can call him right now," I continued. "Tell him I know an experienced master handyman who can handle basic building maintenance. You can use our couch for a couple of weeks until you earn enough for a deposit on a room." Adrian looked at me, then at Oliver, who was nodding eagerly. A crack appeared in his composed, quiet exterior, and for the first time, tears welled in his eyes. He wiped them quickly with the back of his hand, clearing his throat. "I'd work hard," Adrian said, his voice steadying. "Every single day." "I know you would," I said. "That was 3 years ago." Adrian didn't just fix my landlord's buildings, he eventually took over the building management contract for the entire street, renting a small ground floor studio down the road. He still walks with a slight limp, but he carries his tool bag with pride. And every Tuesday evening, without fail, he comes over to our apartment for dinner, bringing a fresh set of tools just in case anything else needs fixing.